You're listening to the Chronicles of Living podcast, where we talk to everyday people about everyday things in the past, present, and future. Now let's talk.
Don't stop. Don't stop. Don't stop. Don't stop. Don't stop. On the road of life, you can't stop. You can't stop moving. Keep move. Keep that pace. You switching to gear. Let's go as we climb up the hill. Don't slow down. Pedal a little more. The mind is working. It's in control. Your wheels are turning a little more. Going higher another notch. Keep it steady. Don't watch the clock go round. Cycle.
Greetings, my visionary dreamers. How's everybody doing today on Let's Talk Sunday? This is ADionne, your dream pusher. Listen.
Learning, always turning later. Cannot stop the time. Always merging into lanes that better suit us as we ride. Switch it up. Switching to gear, let's go. As we climb up the hill, don't slow down. Pedal a little more. The mind is working, it's in control. Your wheels are turning a little more. Going higher another notch. Keep it steady, don't watch the clock go round.
As I said, this is ADionne, your dream pusher, your lifeguard, saving you from the world, from yourself, from some real bullshit. And this is Chronicles of Living podcast show, the show for everyday people doing everyday things, living everyday life. You know us extraordinary folk, doing the damn thing the best way we can. And today's topic is you're smarter than you think. You really are. A lot of times we doubt ourselves when we cross paths with something that seems unfamiliar, but if we really tap in to who we really are and our experience in life, we can realize that we actually know. We know what to do, and we know how to attack a situation in the right way. So, and you are listening to Torelli and the Fuse. Check them out on reverbnation.com. I do forget every now and then to say who that is, but it shows up on the description some type of way. So, definitely got to give props. And so let's get back to the topic. Again, I'm kind of coming off the fly today. My son is visiting for spring break, and I'm so excited. We have been spending some good time together, and he just said to me, we were watching a show, and he was like, "Mom, your show." I'm like, so I did push it to the limit, and I actually was in the middle of doing my hair as well. And that's a whole task. And I was trying to make sure I get everything done because I don't want to have to go back to doing my hair. If you see my hair, it is a job. So this topic actually popped in my head yesterday. And it popped in my head, I think, through conversation with my son. I think I was talking about, I'm pretty sure I was talking about just that, how at different points in my life, I thought that somebody was smarter than me in a certain area just because I didn't go to school for it or I never did it before. And what it all boiled down to at the end of the day, I wound up being smarter than them in that situation. So, and not to say I'm not I'm not going to say smarter than them, but I was able to figure out how to make that situation happen. So I'll give you an example, and this is basically what I'm talking about right now. So, some years back, around about 2000, well, 2000, maybe 10, I think I started uh, my community social website, started building that. And then around 2011, I came to Philadelphia with it. And I've talked about this on different shows, but y'all know when I tell y'all different things that's happened in my life, I might give you a glimpse as it pertains to the topic. So this glimpse is just me assuring you that if you want to do something or something's on your heart to do, don't doubt your intelligence just because you never did anything in that field before. So, nevertheless, when I started working on these social sites, it was just me. And I was trying to figure everything out. And then through research and searching the internet for more information, I wound up connecting with some overseas developers. And then I started working with them to help me out with building this community social site. And because they were overseas, of course, there was a time difference. It was a big time difference. Like, I had to be up and alert, 3, 4 in the morning, and then get right back up at like, 7, 8 o'clock my time to make sure that I handle, my regular day stuff. So, working on. So it was really, it really was taking a toll on me. So what I did was I decided to search for developers in the US that I can physically, meet with. And for my research, I wound up going to a meetup group. If you ever heard of that website, Meetup, yeah, I think it's Meetup because they changed the name before. So I think it's Meetup now. And so I went. So what this site does is basically um, have different groups all across the world that meet up for certain reasons. So far as my meetup group, it was about, internet developing. I mean, not internet, website developing. And it was a group called, I think it was Women Meetup. Or something. It was something, it was all female. And I really wanted to deal with another female at this time. Just to, that female power. So I went and I met someone I thought was really a good person. And she still, I think she's a good person to this day. But nevertheless, long story short, her husband went to school for programming and things of that nature. So and she went to school for it, and she knew how to code and do graphics. And I thought that they were more advanced than me because, the husband went to college for it. And at this point, I didn't get a chance to go to college for that. And I was still learning. But what I didn't realize was while I was working with the developers overseas, I was really retaining a lot of information. I was retaining a lot of knowledge, and I knew how to do things because I would always ask them, how did they get to that point when they did something for me? They were getting paid for this, but I would ask them to show me how did they create the certain action or the certain function on the website. So while I was doing that, I was retaining this information, but I was not believing in myself enough because I didn't pretty much label myself a developer, only because, again, I felt like this is something that I wasn't doing, as an occupation. I didn't go to school for it. So therefore, I wasn't giving myself the credit that I earned. I'll say it that way. So I hired the husband and wife team. Actually, I was just trying to hire her, but she convinced me that her husband was better than she was. And started working with them. I started showing them, the site, the vision, the things that wasn't done yet. And the husband was trying to talk me into switching the whole platform for the website, which means in terms, okay, when you are working with, I don't want to get too deep. Okay, websites, I'll say it this way. You have, say, a Wix. Wix is a platform. You have WordPress. WordPress is a platform. This site that I was working with was a platform that a developer built out of Australia, which a lot of people in US is unfamiliar with. But yet, it was as powerful as, say, a Facebook platform or a Twitter platform, things of that nature, where you can really have a lot of people and profiles and all of this stuff. So he did not know how to deal with that platform. But instead of him telling me that, he tried to convince me that using another platform would be better for my vision. Now, this is where you smarter than you think comes in. I just went along with him because I'm like, he know better than me. You know what I mean? But really, he just wasn't telling me what he didn't know. And what it was, he looked at that platform. He tried to tell me, oh, this is not a good platform, all of this stuff, and I don't believe in him. He's supposed to be the expert. Well, long story short, he broke both of the websites. I was building one for, you know, under 18 and one for 18 and up in community website. Definitely not going to get into detail because it's still going to happen one day. I don't need to be giving out all my ideas. So he broke the sites. Now, let me tell you how. Me and my partners, at this time, once I came to Philly with it, I wound up acquiring partners. And we all were putting money into these websites. Even though I started it, they wound up investing some money along with me. And that meant everything that we invested was basically out the door. And when I say there was thousands invested, y'all don't know how sick I was to my stomach. But you know what I found out? After I got over the hurt, the disappointment, the pain, the anger, all of these feelings because of all the hard work that was put into it for almost 2 years and all of the money that was invested, what I found out was I was smarter than I thought because I had to figure it out at this point for myself. I had to figure out how to put the sites back together because at this point, there was no more money to invest. And because there was no more money to invest, I couldn't even go back to my overseas developers. So there I was, stuck with this big, what some might view impossible for somebody that didn't have any schooling with coding and with, web designing. They just had, I just had a passion, I had a vision, I had a desire to make this come to pass. I knew in my heart that these community websites can be something big. You know, God was feeding me all of these big ideas, and I saw it come to light with the other developers. So I knew it was possible because every vision that I thought that I told the developers to build, they built it. And this is what I'm saying about when I talk from show to show about never doubt yourself. Never think that you can't do what most people would view as impossible. So I went on. There went my journey to learn how to rebuild these websites. Because even though the money was gone, the investment was gone, and my partners, some of them had to, you know, let go of the project because of life and what they had going on. This still was my vision, my dream, my goal. This was my mission that God put on my heart to do. So I didn't want to let not only myself down, I didn't want to let the partners that took the time to believe and invest, even though everybody came to a halt, I still wanted to complete this. So I started researching more. I started watching more tutorials. I started little by little working on rebuilding these websites. And then I called another friend that I knew had experience with web design, video editing, and stuff like that. And I asked him to help me, you know, because again, I was thinking he got years on me of doing this. So maybe he could help me speed up the process. But again, the platform was foreign to him as well. And he tried to help me out, but it it just didn't work. He helped me figure out a few things, but nevertheless, I wound up having to go back on a mission again by myself. So that's what I did. And long story short, I figured it out. It took some time, but I figured it out. I figured out how to rebuild those websites. And not only did I figure it out, I learned more than, far as the point that the developers left off before the sites were broken. I learned more. And from me learning more, even though I wound up having to put the sites on the back burner for a minute because of, they're very expensive to maintain, with you have to have a personal server and it's, that's too complicated. I'm not, for people that don't know about development and everything, I'm not going to get too deep with it. But it was expensive to keep up with. Let's say it like that. So I decided, okay, I will put them aside until God say to me again, it's time, until the finances are there on a consistent level to maintain them. So I say all of this to say that is what was supposed to happen. Because if I never hired the developers from the US, the sites would have never broke. And if the sites would have never broke, then I wouldn't have been under that. I'm not, well, it was pressure. It was pressure. I wouldn't have been under that pressure to take and believe in myself to rebuild those sites. And I wouldn't have learned all the things that I wound up learning. Not just about rebuilding the websites, not just about learning how to get everything functioning right, but learning about how much power I possess within me when I really truly start believing in me. Even though I might not have experience in a certain thing, but because I decided to believe, you know what, you smart, you can do this. If they can do it, if the developers can do it, you can do it. If the developer that went to college and got a degree for programming and for coding broke the sites and didn't know how to deal with this platform, the platform that you were led to, that I'm still to this day trying to figure out how to even come across that stuff. How did I even get to the point to deal with the overseas developers? This is what happens when you start believing in the dreams and the visions that God put on your heart, and you start putting one foot forward. God will start directing your steps and showing you where to look, who to get involved. He will start showing you what to do next. But you got to believe first. You got to start believing in yourself first, that even though things might not look the way it needs to look before you start a thing, that it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. If that's something that is put on you to do, you will do it. As long as you go after it. And I'm not even going to say try. That's why I had to pause. Like I said, we got to stop saying try, if, and maybe. And I know I might slip up every now and then, but I work very hard at catching myself as saying those words. Because it's like, if you say, well, I'm going to try, you gave yourself a pass to not do it. That's basically what you did. If you say maybe, if you say if, that's all doubtful words. Saying when and saying I'm working hard at it, saying I am, I have, I'm going to, and you got to be careful with the going to, because going to can be a longevity thing. Going to can be I'm going to move. That can mean, well, when? That's not like a definite. You know what I mean? So we have to be careful with our words because we have what we say. So I had to keep talking to myself and believing this is the vision that God gave me. And if He gave it to me, I am capable of accomplishing this. It doesn't matter what my background is. It doesn't matter my education. This is my purpose. This is my mission. Even if it's not meant to happen at this time, but God just wanted to show me my power, wanted to show me that He's there, and He will give you the tools that you need to complete what it is that He put on your heart to do. And like I said, to complete, that didn't mean that just because I completed it, that it was time to release it. I thought it was time to release it, but it wasn't. And it will be. And I will know when it is time. So it's just like you start a new job, you know, you have to be trained at that new job. Every job that you start, you send your resume out there, you look at the description and you say, okay, I could do that. Sometimes you could look at the job description and say, I can do this and this, but the rest of those 10 things, I don't know about that. But yet, because you might need a new job, you still put your resume out there. And then when you get hired, you get challenged because you know that's the job you want. So now the challenge begins. How bad do you want it? Because now you on this 90-day probation, 60-day probation. So therefore, they're giving you a time limit as to you showing up for yourself and realizing that you are smarter than you think. There are so many occupations out there that have different computer platforms as to your job, different software that you have to use. Like, perfect example, I've managed 2 different apartment complexes, well over, say, 250 units. And both of them use different software when it comes to checking a credit for the for the tenant, or, collecting the rent and keeping up with all the rent receipts and evictions and all of this stuff. Both of them used different software platforms. So I had to learn all over again, even though it was the same job description that I was doing. They used different things. So now I had to start all over with my training and learn something new. If I would have went in thinking like, oh wow, y'all not using the same software that we used at my other job. And if I would have thought in that way, that would have made me intimidated. And I wouldn't have realized that, you know what, girl, you're smart. You figured this out, And then you go on a job and it's a new job and you find yourself like 2 weeks, 3 weeks down the line, all the things that you've been trained on is like, bam, you got it. It's down. And then you go back and you start thinking about when you first started, how everything looks so foreign to you. If we start taking that same, how I want to say, just the same risk, I don't want to say risk because it's not risk, but same belief. Okay, that's the word. If we start having the same belief that we have to have when we go into a new job, and you have to get trained for whatever it is that they need you to do, you do it without thinking about it, because if you don't learn this stuff, they're not going to keep you on a job and you're not going to get paid. So it's like you're under the gun. What if you took that same attitude with your dreams and your visions? What if you started really believing in yourself? Believing that, okay, this is something new, but it's just something new for me to learn. It's a new experience for me. And you know what? I'm going to enjoy this experience while I'm learning this new thing. If we start looking at it in that aspect, that this is something, a new experience that you plan to enjoy while you're going through the process of learning it, you'll be amazed at how many parts of your brains will start just lighting up, you know? That's what we got to do, y'all. You got to start believing in yourself that you are smarter than you think. It's so many times that even, with my kids, it's like, yo, you can do this. You're faced with different things and they come to me and talk about it. And I'm like, you can do it. That's what you want to do. You can do it. And it's funny how when you have kids and they doubt themselves, like say they on a sports team or dancing or whatever, and they really want to do it. They really want to be, the best at what it is that they're doing. It's funny how, as parents, we can tell our kids, you can do it, baby. That next race, you're going to be faster. The next dance recital, you're going to just shine. You're going to remember those steps. You're going to do better. We could tell them, okay, you got a C this time, but I know you're so smart. I know you're going to be an A student. I know that you are an A student. That's what I tell my kids, and that's what they are. They're A students. They might get a couple of B's, but nevertheless, both of them are really A students. And when they fall behind, just like my daughter called me last month sometime and said she was falling behind because she really was just procrastinating on her schoolwork. And then one day of procrastination turns into another day, turns into another day. So therefore, her grades dropped. And just a little pep talk of telling her and reminding her that, you know what? You're smart. You're smarter than that, you know? And on top of that, you got to pay that money back. Well, the money that you did have to borrow, but outside of the scholarships and grants, you got to pay that back. And then what's the point of putting all that time in and then you're not going to complete it? I'm like, this is your life. And all I had to say was those words. What happened? A couple weeks later, oh, Mom, yeah, I got a 98 in this class. I got a 98 in this class. I got a 96 in 90s all across the board. I didn't say a whole lot. I just reminded her that she was smart and she was intelligent and that she can do this. Not that she could do it, but she had to do it. And that's all it took. And there she went. And so, just like we tell our kids and we feed them that they can do it, that they're smart, and we believe in them, what happens if we start to turn that talk back around on ourselves? Start to look in that mirror, as I always tell you, and just say before you go out or before you start something new, you can do this. You are smart. You're intelligent. You are smarter than you think, than everybody else think. You're the bomb. What if we did that every day? Morning, noon, and night. Every time we saw a mirror, every time we pass by a mirror, we just look at ourselves and say, you're smart. You're intelligent. You can do this. This is not impossible. You always beat the odds, no matter how hard it seems. You were made to jump over obstacles. You were made to fight through struggles. What if we told ourselves that every day? You know what would happen? Our subconscious will keep hearing it, keep hearing ourselves say, I'm so, I'm just so damn smart. I'm just so damn smart. I'm scared of me. What if we did that? We would start believing it. The more you say to yourself, the more you believe it. Even if it doesn't look that way for you right now, if you keep saying it, it gets into your subconscious. And your subconscious is really in a driver's seat. Because when you don't consciously make up your mind to do a thing, your subconscious is like your default. Because you're undecided consciously to do a thing, your subconscious just kicks in and do whatever it is that relates to whatever that situation is in front of you. It's just like riding a bike. When you first started learning how to ride a bike, some people might have been intimidated. Like, oh, I don't want to fall, I want to hurt myself. And you got on that bike, and yeah, you might have fell a couple times, or maybe you caught your balance, with one leg. But nevertheless, if you kept at it, you learned how to ride that bike. And then once you got on the bike from day to day, your subconscious kicked in because it wound up remembering the feeling of knowing how to ride the bike. Because you were consistent, it got over the falling down. Your subconscious got over the falling down. And it kicked into gear as to, you know how to do this, you know how to ride this bike. Have you ever just let years go by, and if you learned how to swim at a young age, you learned how to ride a bike at a young age, and you got back on the bike or jumped back in the pool, do you notice that it's like you never stopped riding that bike? You never stopped swimming? Everything, your subconscious just kicks right in like, you know how to do this. You can do this. It's just on auto drive, you know? You know how to do this. So just like you train your subconscious to go on autopilot for things that you want to do because you're young, you want to learn how to ride a bike. You want to learn how to swim. You want to ride the bike with all the rest of the kids in the neighborhood, or you want to go swimming and get in the pool and swim like everybody else. So that challenged you to learn this new thing. You don't even think about the fact that, oh, maybe I might not be smart enough to turn the wheels the right way or to keep my balance. You don't think about, oh, I might not be smart enough to, you know, uh, move my arms and my legs the right way to stay afloat. You just watch and you have the desire. You watch everybody else doing it and you feel left out. So you like, I want to do that. It looks fun, you know? And so you don't think about it. You're determined to learn this thing, you know? This is how we need to look at our dreams and our visions when they're really big and we have no experience or no knowledge of it prior to it coming on our heart. This is how we need to start viewing it. Like, you know what? I didn't know how to swim. I didn't know how to ride a bike. I didn't know how to drive a car. And if you drive a stick shift, that's extra work. I know how to drive a stick shift. I can remember going to the auction years ago in my 20s, going to the auction, and I brought a stick shift. It's my first time driving a stick shift. Now, when I went to the auction and I brought the stick shift, I didn't even know it was a stick shift because somebody took me to the auction, and when I saw the car, I just liked the car, and I bid on the car, and I got the car. But the guy that took me, he was like, "You sure you want that car?" I was like, "Yeah, I really like that car. I'm drawn to that car. I want it." And so he didn't tell me why he asked me that. He knew it was a stick shift, but he just assumed I knew it was a stick shift because I was like, "Yeah, I want it." Well, I brought the car, and they had this shop, so they dropped it off to my house. They had to stay at the auction, they had to do some things, whatever. And he brought it to my house, dropped it off, and it wasn't until he brought it to my house that I found out it was a stick shift. I'm like, okay, who do I know that can drive a stick shift that could teach me? I could have went into, oh my gosh, I gotta find somebody else to buy this car off of me. I could have did that. But I liked the car. And so I started searching for people that can show me how to drive this car. I knew I can drive this car if somebody just showed me. So a friend of mine came over, long story short, because time is winding down. A friend of mine came over that knew how to drive a stick, and he took me driving, was teaching me or whatever. Now, the next day, I think it was the next day, or maybe a couple days later, but nevertheless, I had an important meeting or interview or something. I can't remember, but it was in town. And I realized, okay, I got to do this. I got to ride this. I got to do this stick shift. I got to drive it. And so I went on a mission, and I got in a stick shift, and I started driving. And I was doing good. You know, I'm feeling myself. I'm like, you got this. You got this. You smart. You can figure this out. I was bucking a couple of times. If anybody drives a stick shift out there, you know what I mean. You get the bucking if when you first learn. And then my worst fears. I got on the highway, just moving right along, and all of a sudden there was traffic. OMG. If you know anything about a stick shift, that is a scary feeling when you're not seasoned, okay? The car was stopping, and oh my gosh, it was kind of horrifying. But nevertheless, my self-talk kicked in. My time was running. I was running late. I had to be at this appointment at a certain time. So therefore, that subconscious kicked in, that remembered what I was taught. Remembered that you wanted this car, and you found out it was a stick shift. You had an opportunity to sell this, but you kept it. So therefore, you thought in your mind that you were capable of driving this car. So drive this car. You can do it. And I did it. I made it downtown. I parked. And on my way back home, guess what? I wasn't bucking anymore. I let the fear go. And I just started believing that I was smart enough to drive that car. I was smart enough to get the rhythm just right so I could have a smooth ride. That it was just a car. And I'm in control of this car. This car will move the way I want it to move, when I want it to move. I am in control of this car. I had to believe that I was in control. I'm smarter than this car. This car can't even talk. I am smarter than this car. So therefore, I can control it any time I want. And once I started believing that, from that day forth, I was able to drive the car with no help. You know, as a matter of fact, no, I'm lying. I'm not lying. I forgot. When I got home smooth, but I did call the friend back to give me one more round of pointers, just so I was sure as to what I was doing. But I did get home safely and I did have a pretty smooth ride. But I just wanted to reassure myself. And I did get him to come back. And I think it was the parking part. I didn't get the parking down. So I say all of this to say, remember, you're smarter than you think. Anything that God puts on your heart to do, any vision, any dreams, any goals, if it's there for a reason. It's for you. It's for you to accomplish. Don't worry about if you sing, if you dance, if you draw, if you do construction, or you do something with your hands, or you're going for a certain job and this is what you really believe in your heart to do. You starting a new career. Don't worry about how many other people are doing that same thing. There's always a need for variety. That's the thing. People create things every day, but there's always the fan base, the clientele, the consumers that's going to gravitate towards your vision, towards your dream. Just like you gravitated towards this podcast show. You could be listening to any other podcast show. There are a gazillion podcast shows out here. But you were drawn to this podcast show for a reason. And if I didn't believe that I was smarter than I thought to figure out how to start this podcast show, if I would have let all these other podcast shows that I saw intimidate me and make me feel like, you know what? There's so many podcast shows. They're so good. Oh my gosh, I don't want to do this. There's too much competition. Instead of just knowing that I'm running my own race. And the people that want to hear this show, need to hear this show, will be drawn to this show in some type of way. If I didn't believe that, you wouldn't be listening to me right now. So, I'm going to go. But I need y'all to understand clearly what I said, what I'm saying. Know that you are smart. You are intelligent. You are smart enough to figure it out. If it's a vision, a dream, and a goal that was put on your heart, don't worry about the naysayers. Don't worry about your friends, your families that's doubting you, telling you you don't have experience in that, or you don't have the money for that, or whatever they're telling you to make you doubt yourself. Don't believe it. You believe in you. You believe in your capabilities. You believe in God to give you the directions and the steps that's needed to make it all come to pass. And trust me, it will come to pass. Be consistent, be persistent, and do the damn thing the best way you can. That's all you can ask of yourself. And you will feel good about yourself, however the outcome is. So, this is ADionne, your dream pusher, your lifeguard, saving you from yourself saving you from doubting yourself, saving you from some real bullshit and people that try to make you believe that you are not smarter than them. Because you are. You're smarter than you think. Believe that. And you're listening to Chronicles of Living podcast show. The show for everyday people doing everyday things, living everyday life. You know us normal folks. Oops, I slipped up. You know us extraordinary folks doing a damn thing the best way we can. Thank you guys for all your support. Continue to follow, like, share. Sharing is caring. Until Wednesday, 7 p.m. Eastern. I love you guys. Peace. Thank you for listening to Chronicles of Living, where we talk to everyday people about everyday things in the past, present, and future. And if you are pursuing your dreams, I'm proud of you. Because the best part of life is when you decide to live. To keep up with us, please visit chronicles-of-livin-podcast. Until next time, this is ADionne, your dream pusher. I love you guys.